Thank you for being here. And it's a really an honor, a pleasure for me because I'm following you since many years, and your work is amazing. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Thank you for your kind words. Yeah, thank you.
So I would like to ask you, I'm talking about productivity. In the Western part of the world, there is often a lot of pressure to perform at high level. And with my work, I promote alternative approaches to productivity and well-being. In fact, I really believe that we can embrace a more sustainable and effective productivity model so we can achieve our goals and be in balance and harmony with ourselves and others at the same time. And I've been to Japan many times and started learning a little Japanese language. And I'm always fascinated by the language. Many words have a deep, profound meaning behind them. And understand this meaning can help us to grasp the Japanese way of living, and also it can be a great source of inspiration. So, in my opinion, one of the words that best represent the difference between the Western and the Japanese perspective or way of living is ikigai. And ikigai has usually been translated as the purpose of life. And but the meaning of this word was actually misunderstood by a Western blogger that created a Venn diagram, and that it's not that went viral. But the true meaning of ikigai has nothing to do with this Venn diagram. So, can you please explain us what the real meaning of ikigai is?
Oh, thank you. I think the most important difference is that in the West, the Venn diagram represents ikigai as something that would satisfy all these requirements, like something you love, something you are paid for, something you are rewarded for, and so on. But in Japan, even if you do something and that is not recognized, that is also your ikigai. So, for example, if you are a painter, you love painting, right? But your painting might not sell well, or the critics might not like your works, but that is still fine. If you are a novelist and you are writing a novel, even if your novel is not published, as long as you enjoy writing it, that is your ikigai. So, I think in Japan, because of the tradition of Zen meditation and so on, I think there is this cultural heritage where we put the utmost importance to self-recognition and self-awareness and so on, apart from social relations, and which, of course, is very important. After all, we're living in the modern era, and people do search social recognition. But on the other hand, the most important aspect of ikigai is, kind of self-awareness and inner peace, and, something that you can enjoy even without being successful in the Western sense.
Yes. So, and in your book, that I loved it. You talk about the 5 pillars of ikigai, and the first one is starting small. So we can find a lot of many sources of ikigai in our life, and the more sources we find of ikigai, the more our life will be happy, basically, right? So can you briefly tell us more about the 5 pillars? And then I will have a few more questions.
Yeah, starting small, I think, is very important because, for example, even if you are founding a very successful company, at the beginning, it starts very small. So people nowadays talk a lot about how you can scale something, like, your economic activities and so on. But the fact that you use the word scale means that actually you can start small. It's just like a seed of a plant which you can grow by putting water and, shedding with sunshine and so on. So starting small, I think, is very important. And also harmony and sustainability. I think this is something very important in the era of global warming. I know in Europe, you are very aware of the environmental constraints that we live in. In Japan too, in Tokyo, we had an incredibly hot summer. So we do feel that global warming or global boiling even is here. And that is just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. I mean, in the modern world, we need to take care of these social impacts. Otherwise, we cannot really pursue our ikigai. So I think harmony and sustainability is another important pillar of ikigai. And, I should say probably my favorite is being in the here and now, because that is the core of Zen meditation, as mindfulness and so on. But at the same time, it's a secret to productivity. That's your own, passion, right? How to be productive. I think in order to be productive, you really need to be in the here and now. And, I just mentioned 3 pillars, and you can, look up the 2 others in the book. But anyway, so that is my restatement of some of the pillars of ikigai.
Yes. And you talk about harmony and sustainability. And harmony I get that is one of the core value of Japan. There is this thing that people pay attention to the others, and how can you live, with in harmony with others. So can you talk about the nagomi? What does it mean? Because I think that we don't have this kind of concept.
Yes, Stephanie, I think that's a really interesting and important question. For example, when you are, putting forward some social cause like equality for people, human rights, and so on, sometimes, it's quite difficult to do that in a society where politics is playing too powerful a role. In many countries, for example, you would find that when people protest or make a point, they would be arrested and, and they will be crushed and so on. And so that is, a really unfortunate aspect of modern society. If you practice the way of nagomi, it's like, the Bruce Lee's famous adage, be water. I mean, Bruce Lee is a famous martial arts artist from Hong Kong, I think, and he said that you should be like water. Nagomi is like being water. Of course, you have your principles, you have your values, but depending on the situation, you would try to kind of work your way through all these very complicated and sophisticated process of negotiating with people and so on. And, so Japan is a really interesting country. Many people say that Japanese women do not have a high social roles. And that is certainly true. And we should change that. But if you look at the relationship between men and women in Japanese society, women actually do have really strong power over, in a really, interesting way. So I think if you take really, Western view and put all these standards to Japanese society, you might think that Japan has many problems. We do have some problems, but at the same time, as you have just said, the nagomi is a totally different concept from the Western society. So if you look through the lens of nagomi, things look really different, and it's like learning how to be water, which would fit any container, and still be yourself and true to your own values. I think that's a very important aspect of nagomi.
Yes, and also in the ikigai, one of the pillar of ikigai is releasing yourself. You said that it's like accepting yourself, so staying true, being authentic, basically, right? Because
Yeah.
sometimes, social comparison, or we tend to maybe not to be truly ourselves, but in order to be happy also, like the ikigai concept teaches us, is really releasing ourselves, so accepting ourselves, who we are, also our maybe limits or our flaws or who we are, right?
Yeah, in Japan, we have this saying, Junin Toiro, which literally means 10 people, 10 colors. So, each person has his or her own unique color. And, for example, my hair, this is something really, really messy. And, but I have to accept that. I mean, ever since my teenage years, I always had trouble with my hair, because it doesn't become tidy. But that is me. So I have to accept that. So, it also applies to your shortcomings. Like, I'm someone who is really, really restless. I'm like a 5-year-old child. And even in parties, like in a formal party, I cannot behave like, you know, gentleman. I mean, I'm always making jokes and moving around. But if I suppress that, I will feel very uncomfortable and I will be stressed out and so on. So I see many people who try to um, suppress their own nature. And that might be fine in the short term because you can behave properly. But in the long term, your stress would show and you would feel very uncomfortable. And, I think that's a very important aspect of why releasing yourself is important because it reduces stress and help you become your true self. When you are in a country different from yours, that would work as a kind of mirror to reflect yourself. So the same for me too. I mean, when I go to Italy, uh, people are more relaxed and more, outgoing and so on. So that part of me actually comes naturally out. So in Japan, I am kind of the odd one out. I mean, I'm probably too active and too, outgoing and so on. Yeah, in a way, talking to you is, of course, like reflecting on yourself because what you say makes me think about my own existence. So I think that's a beautiful aspect of this kind of conversation,
Would like to ask you about other two things about Japanese concept. One is kodawari, so the pursuit of perfection. Yeah, we can say that. I think it's really close to the kaizen, so the improvement. They're very similar in a way, right?
Yeah, kodawari is really important. If you go to a ramen noodle restaurant in Tokyo, sometimes the restaurant owner is pursuing his or her own kodawari, and so customers probably wouldn't notice the difference. I mean, he's trying to make the perfect soup or perfect noodle or perfect ingredients. But customers would say, hey, we are happy. We are already happy. So why do you have to improve more? But that is kodawari. I mean, this, relentless pursuit of, perfection. And that is why Japanese ramen noodles taste so great. And the same for Kaizen. It was made famous by Toyota, the automaker. And the so-called Toyota production system, TPS, is really great. But still, they try to improve it more. So this, search of perfection, I think, is very much within the Japanese culture. And what is very important is that this is part of the ikigai. I mean, even if you improve your ramen noodles, that might not directly lead to more revenue or more customer satisfaction and so on. You would be satisfied and you would be happy because you have made this perfect bowl of ramen. The same for Kaizen. Even if you improve the production process in the automaker's factory, that might not directly turn into more profit, but that is fine. I mean, because it's all about your own satisfaction. So, yeah, as you said, kodawari and kaizen, I think these are two great cultural traditions of Japan.
Yes, yes. I sometimes think about kodawari as like making the ordinary extraordinary.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
yes, so you can do, a thing that you usually do, but you can add some flavor, something more, but because of the passion of it, because you love it, not because you are expecting the recognition by others, right? Yes, yes.
That's
So
a really great way to put it. Yeah.
thank you, thank you. I did a podcast about the kodawari, and I explain it in these terms. So I'm happy that you.
I check it out. Check it out.
Thank you. It's in Italian, but maybe I will
I would
translate.
try. I would try.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again.
Yes, yes. Whenever you want.
Yeah.
Can we say mata ne? Mata.
Yeah, mata ne. Yeah, mata. Thank you. Yeah, Japanese is so good. I mean,
I can read hiragana, katakana.
Wow, really?
Yes. I can say hajimemashite yoroshiku onegaishimasu. And
That's impressive. I can. Okay. So what is this?
oh my God. Like,
What
okay.
is this? What is this?
This is kodawari.
Great. This is great. Because this. Well, that's great. Okay, you have passed my test. So
Yes.
congratulations.
Arigato gozaimashita. Thank you so much. And let's keep in touch. I will love that.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.